Good day, students. My name is Mrs. Vanessa Mudley, and I will be discussing the addendum for DL TP100. In this presentation, I will be discussing your portfolio of evidence due date. I will also explain to you on how you should submit your documents. And of course, I will explain your TP days and what activities needs to be completed according to the number of days completed at school. The due date for your portfolio of evidence is 21st May 2020. You will have the option to courier your files or to hand it in at the Durban campus. Students, please note that at this point you are unable to hand in your files or courier it as we are off campus and working from home. I will advise you on when you can start handing in your files or when you can contact the courier companies to do so. The other option to students that's becoming available is that you will be able to submit an electronic copy of your portfolio of evidence. Please do not scan the documents as yet, as the template might be totally different from what you are planning to submit. So I urge you to please wait until the template is submitted electronically, as the portal is still closed. And once this becomes available, you will be provided with clear guidelines on how to do the electronic submission. Please note that you are still required to hand in a stamped copy of your attendance register and your final school assessment, which is your PRAC 104 form, and this needs to be stamped by the school. Once these documents are signed by your school or your mentor teacher, the school must then email these documents to us at dlteachingprac@embury.ac.za. Now, we know that some of you students have not been able to get your documents stamped. That is fine. While we are waiting for schools to reopen, please email the copy that is not stamped to us. We will work with that in the interim, and we will not release your marks until we receive the official stamped copies of these documents. That could either come from the school's direct email address, or you can courier that to us at Stadio. Any other documents in your file, it is not compulsory for you to have the school stamp on those documents. Please note that we will only accept original documents that are sent to us from an identifiable school email address. For example, if you were at Pinetown Junior Primary School, then the address would be something similar to admin@pinetownjunior.co.za or reception@ptj.co.za. If your school does not have an identifiable school email address, then you are required to courier the original documents to us at Teaching Practice Department, Stadio School of Education, 75 Silverton Road, Musgrave, Durban 4001. Now, those students that also decide to courier their files, please note that this is also the delivery address for the submission of your POE. Also take note that this can only be done when the campus reopens, and that's in line with the government lockdown arrangements. All dates will be communicated with you. Many students were unable to complete their TP days or their assessments at school due to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent lockdown. Now, students, I have formulated various categories for you. Please pay careful attention to each category. If you did not fall into any of these categories, contact DL Teaching Prac at embury.ac.za immediately. You will need to clearly outline your circumstances and the reason as to why you do not fall into any of these categories. Now, the additional requirements are based on the number of TP days you have completed. Like I said, please pay careful attention, and I'm going to go through each one in detail. Category 1. If you fall in this category, you should have completed at least 20 to 30 days of TP at school. You are required to submit a minimum of one formal lesson presented to your mentor teacher with the mark sheet. Please note that the other two formal lesson plans must still be written on the templates provided and submitted in your POE file. Please ensure that you submit your resources for all your lesson plans. You will also need to submit a minimum of 5 informal lesson plans and resources taught at school. The other 5 informal lesson plans must still be written on the templates provided and submitted in your POE file, even if you have not taught them. Students, please make a note of the 5 informal lessons, because I do believe that some of your lesson plans are not stamped. So if you could please mark those as the ones that are taught, we would really appreciate that. And of course, you must also complete your 10 writing activities as per the POE instructions. Those students that have met all these requirements and have completed all of your assessments, please submit it as you have completed them, and they still need to be marked by us. Students that fall under category 2 should have completed at least 11 to 19 days of TP at school. You are required to submit a minimum of 1 formal lesson that you presented to your mentor teacher with the resources as well as the mark sheet. The other 2 formal lesson plans must still be written on the templates provided and submitted in your POE file. You are required to submit a minimum of 3 informal lessons that you taught in the classroom. The other 7 informal lesson plans must still be written on the templates provided and submitted in your POE file, even if you have not taught them. Please make a note and mark the 3 informal lessons that you have already taught in the classroom. You will complete the alternative strategies for TP. In your POE file, you will create a divider, and that divider will be labeled Alternative Strategies for TP. All of the activities that I'm going to speak about just now will have to be filed in this section, and there are 4 alternative strategy activities that you need to complete. It will be an indoor-outdoor layout, classroom management, lesson reflection, and case study, as well as the 10 writing activities as per the POE instructions. The alternative strategies for students that fall under category 2. The indoor-outdoor layout. You are required to look for images on the internet of an indoor and outdoor layout that is relevant to the grade that you are teaching this year. Please select 1 image of an indoor layout and 1 image of an outdoor layout. You will firstly describe the indoor layout in detail and then evaluate how the indoor layout or the picture of that indoor layout adds value to learning and teaching of your learners. You will then evaluate the outdoor layout picture, describe that image in detail, and then evaluate how that image is going to add value to teaching and learning of your learners in the classroom. This activity contributes 10 marks. The next activity is on classroom management. Now let us assume that you have taught a lesson to your learners using the topic capacity volume. You have used water and a variety of containers in different shapes and sizes and have discussed concepts such as empty, full, and half. Assume that you have taught the lesson and the following happened. 1 learner did not participate and get involved. 1 learner was very fidgety and splashed water on the other learners. 1 learner was constantly interrupting you and did not stop talking. Now you need to consider the above points and write a response of half a page on how you will use your classroom management skills to deal with the 3 learners, and that's worth 5 marks. Lesson reflection. Now, storytelling is an important component of an early childhood environment. Select one of the story lessons that you planned as part of your TP requirements and reflect on the lesson that you planned by answering the questions below. Your reflection must be at least half a page. Tell us why you chose this book. How do you think learners will relate to this book and why? What are the lessons or values that the learners may remember from this book? Do some research and list 1 other children's book and its authors' names. This activity is worth 5 marks. Case studies. Read the case studies below and answer the questions that follow. Case study 1. Sam has recently been acting out in class. She refuses to complete her work, and when it is time to hand in a book, she sits with her arms folded. When you ask her to finish her work before playtime, she bursts out crying. Your mentor teacher calls you aside and tells you that Sam's mother recently passed away. Describe your reaction to this news. Do you think that you were justified in the manner you have spoken to Sam, and state why? Provide 2 examples of how you will help Sam to complete her classwork. This activity is worth 6 marks. Read the example provided in case study 2 and answer the following. Give 2 examples of what you will do to make both learners realize that what they are doing is wrong. Read case study 3 and then answer the questions. In your opinion, should Amy be isolated from other children? What will you say to Amy to make her understand that she should not be behaving aggressively? If you fall under category 3, this means that you should have completed 5 to 10 days of TP at school. You need to plan and prepare your 3 formal lessons as you would have planned for assessments by your mentor teacher. You need to submit the lesson plans and the resources in your POE file. Please note that you are not expected to have taught these lessons. You need to then plan and prepare 10 informal lesson plans and resources as you would have planned at school. Submit the lesson plans and the resources in your POE file. You will complete the alternative strategies for TP. I have already explained this. You also need to create the divider and complete the 6 activities. The first 4 have already been discussed. You will then do a role play of 1 formal lesson and the role play of 1 informal lesson, as well as the 10 writing activities as per the POE instructions. Recording of 1 formal lesson presentation. Select one of the formal lessons that you have not presented to your mentor teacher. Since you could not present this lesson in your classroom, make a video recording of yourself presenting the introduction and development of the lesson to an imaginary group of learners. This technique is referred to as a role play lesson. Remember to introduce the topic of your lesson and the age group that you are teaching. The video recording must not exceed 10 minutes and must be uploaded on the ECI page for TP100 in the Category 3 folder. You may record the lesson using your cell phone, and this is worth 10 marks. Remember, students, that in the introduction of a lesson, this is where you capture your learner's attention and you're creating the learning atmosphere. It's a short part of the lesson. You are introducing your topic in a creative, fun way to capture your learner's attention. In the lesson development itself, this is where the actual content is taught. In this section, you will teach the objectives that you set out using various activities, and you are going to show us what you're going to do in the lesson, and of course provide as much detail as possible. Recording of 1 informal lesson presentation. Select one of the informal lessons that you have not presented to your mentor teacher. Use the technique stated above and record yourself teaching the development and the conclusion of the lesson. Remember to introduce the topic of your lesson and the age group that you are teaching. The video recording must not exceed 10 minutes and must be uploaded on the ECI page for TP100 in the Category 3 folder. You may record the lesson using your cell phone. This is also worth 10 marks. I've already discussed the lesson development with you. In the lesson consolidation, remember, this is how you are ending the lesson with your learners. It is a very short phase of the lesson, which usually lasts in a general classroom situation for around 5 to 10 minutes. However, your recording is not going to be a long recording, So you cannot be too long on this section. Be creative and try and be practical in how you're going to end this lesson with your learners. Category 4. Students who have done less than 5 days in a school must contact DL Teaching Prac at embury.ac.za immediately. Our administrators will advise you on how you should proceed with teaching practice. Thank you, students, for listening to this presentation, and I trust that it provides further clarity on how you should go about completing your TP activities. Good luck to you.